Reason why we are #1 office is we have like a lot of team camaraderie, and if we weren't having to be ghosts, I would like do some sort of like hype up or some cheer or something like that. But like we all know that everyone has each other's back here, which is super awesome. We have a great team atmosphere. All of your recruiters, managers are like available pretty much like 16/7. I think that's about as accurate as it gets. Maybe 18/7, something like that. And so I like Sharon, Mike, and I's like thought pattern. It would be super awesome to get all of you guys there for Cabbage Bowl because we make ourselves available 7 days a week, pretty much all the time. So whether it's a pitch, whether it's recording, whether it's drop off, whether it's taking you to a deal, whatever it is, like we are making our time available for you. So if you can set aside like an hour plus a shower afterwards, so like 90 minutes or something like that, to build the team. Even if you suck, like we want to just have fun and get out there. And I think that is part of the success of the office, is that we all have fun, we all have like a great team atmosphere. And so like if we're putting a lot of time out there for you, like put a bit of time into the team, and that will help us all succeed. So like next week, don't let any one of y'all's mamas be hosed. And we want to get there. We want to get there and get the whole team there and have like a lot of fun.
So Cabbage Bowl's at 9 a.m.
45. That's safe.
If Cabbage Bowl's at 9 a.m., Nate, what time should I wake up?
Guilty as charged. I was there at 9 a.m. But we
8 a.m.
I have my alarm set for 8:18, and that gives me enough time to throw on some pants.
8:18.
Yeah, 8:18. Everything ends in an 8 for me. Like
What?
microwave, not 50 seconds, 48 seconds.
Yeah. It might seem like a big deal, but like not like a big deal. But show up on time, guys. Like how you do one thing is how you do everything. It's not a good reflection if you're the guy that shows up late to everything. Like
Kind of like just like.
I'm big on that. So yeah.
Just like how like we'll try and, you know, if we're doing drop off, try and drop you a message, time for you guys, like same kind of thing.
It's
just
okay
like
if you suck.
two-way street.
We have a couple guys that are like hitting dingers these days, man. A couple weeks ago they couldn't swing the bat like a man.
I mean, Johnny had never played any sort of bat sport. Today he got one of the best catches of the day. Got on base twice, and did you get home as well today?
That's some real
That was my team. There you go. So I mean, yeah, no natural talent. Unless you're Caleb. Unless you're Caleb.
Why not you say goal? Get to it. Come on, brother.
All on Team Seabass, winning team, baby.
Let's go, Mike.
It was a genuinely fire.
Alright, we got we'll walk off deal, we'll walk off deal.
Okay.
You know?
Hopefully I need a whiteboard.
I'm gonna walk over there.
What do you
Okay.
What'd you say, Kim?
So, a bunch of you, which my van is in a particular situation, but I don't know what a lot of y'all's hoods look like, but my neighborhood is in like a middle class, they work real hard and they get knocked a whole lot. So my training is on how to talk to people that have security systems.
Nice.
There's a shit ton of it in my hood. But everybody's got Vivint, everybody's got Brinks. I'm surprised we don't have Alder around, but yeah, there's a lot of it. So the fact of the matter, right off the bat, is what do we know if they have security? If you go to a neighborhood and everyone has security, what does that mean?
Crime.
Okay, good. And then what's the positive in that? Everybody. That means they're thinking about it.
Yeah.
They're security minded. We don't have to sell any of these people to get an alarm. They already got the alarms. They already have it. They're already paying them off for it. They've already been through the loans. They already know what it's like to finance equipment. They know this pitch. They've done it before. You just have to be the guy that shows up and get it in their house. And so there's a nuance to getting to talk to these people because obviously if there's 10 Vivint homes in your house, yeah, they've probably heard 5 or 6 different pitches from 5 or 6 82 guys a couple of years ago. They probably heard a few Vivint pitches. Might have heard a couple Brinks pitches. But yeah, so that's good. That's a good thing. You just have to be a little bit different. There's definitely a nuance to it. Okay, so who are the big who are the big companies that we know when we get in the hood?
Vivint, Arlo,
Ours with Fluent.
Yeah.
So Fluent's big around in the Midwest.
Alert 360.
Alert, that's a new one. Alert 360. Yeah.
Ring
We're gonna put that down. Definitely safe. What about local companies? Do we know a lot of local companies?
TCS.
TCS.
Raytronics.
That's a good one. Maximum. And then we don't have a whole lot.
Tallahassee
Has
Security.
anyone seen Alder around here?
No. They got one.
I've seen one
Tallahassee
side.
Security got bought out years ago.
Who?
Tallahassee Security got bought out years ago.
Oh yeah.
I don't know any Alder, so Alert 360 is a good one. Okay, so how do we spot? We'll talk about Vivint, because there's a shat ton of Vivint in my hood.
Yeah, they're.
And Corey's knocking that hood today, so he works with Vivint now.
Yeah. What's going on with the
It's a fire
again? Are you switching up a little?
So, we'll go over Vivint first. There's definitely a part to that. So what do we know about Vivint?
It's
5 years.
They suck. We know that.
I'm up
They don't tell people that they're in a
We know that they suck. We know that Vivint sucks.
They lie.
Okay?
Yeah,
They do all this stuff. But at the end of the day, these people bought this. Okay, so we don't need to be showing up to their house. Hey man, we're just here because Vivint's a scam. They're gonna be like, no, you're the scam. The system's in my house. Okay, so we're not gonna do that. That's not what we're here to do. Okay, but there's definitely people that you can talk to immediately that you know that you have a chance at selling. One of those people is gonna be a guy with this doorbell camera. Okay,
The gray and black one?
we're gonna show them. So how do I do
The
this?
gray and black one.
Bro, I swear, bro.
There we go.
Those are money.
There we go.
It's called pacifier.
They're falling apart. They're falling apart.
I got tape together.
talking through it.
Wayne Payne Dingaling, this guy right here.
Oh yeah.
Y'all see this doorbell? We know that that button is probably not even on it anymore.
Or it's taped on.
It's taped on. We also know that they don't make that anymore. So my first year was the last year that they made these. So it is important as a rep to know not only our product, but other people's products too. Okay, so we're gonna get to the next one too, is gonna be something that, when you get to other companies too. But when you approach these people, right, the way that you pitch them is not to go, hey, your shit sucks. Okay, so we're gonna give you this all new blah, 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 blah. No, they like it, that's why they have it, that's why they've kept it all these years. Okay, so the thing is you walk up and you say, hey, we're doing something a little bit different in the neighborhood. I stopped by because I saw your Vivint sign is a little bit aged and I saw you had one of the older doorbell cameras. Are you still with them or is that from the older homeowners? They'll say, that's mine. Okay, cool. Were you like everyone else in the neighborhood whenever the guy came around about 5 or 6 years ago and installed everybody? Yes. Okay, perfect. So I imagine y'all aren't in contract anymore. That's good. I've been working with all your other neighbors that have the same system as you, and they're upgrading because I've been around a little while. I remember when these come out, they were awesome. People loved them. I thought they were cool. The big thing is just now technology's come a little bit further, and we know that these don't work as good as we thought they did. They're glitchy. They're glitchy. When you try to talk to it, I can't hear it. When I try to talk to you, you can't hear it after time. Is that the same thing for yours? And I'm like, yeah, I know, it's kind of insane. Nothing against Vivint. We just want your neighbors to call us whenever they choose to upgrade their systems. Okay, so what we're going to do is put our EDT sign in the yard, and we'll give you this new doorbell with Google. It'll work just like this, just a little bit different. It's a lot better. And then you start going into the value building there. Okay, versus just going, hey, that doorbell freaking sucks. We're not going to, yeah, don't do that. I hate that. People paid a lot of money for this stuff. Okay, so it doesn't matter how much it costs or what it is or how they got it. They paid for it and a whole lot of money, so we're not going to do that. The next thing with Vivint, what about this guy? What do we know about this guy?
New. About 3 years under contract.
How new? Oh, a lot.
Probably about 3 years.
So this doorbell come out my first year, right? About 5 years ago, 4 or 5. They're not very,
Yeah.
the new
2 or
ones.
3 maybe, yeah.
Yeah, they're good.
But that's not the new ones?
No, they have a new one that came out last year.
Okay,
This one's
that's
about
what I'm
3 or 4
thinking
years
of.
old now.
Okay.
So when you see these guys, don't be scared of them. Don't be scared of them at all. They might have just got signed up and that's okay. You can move on, get some information from them. But they might, I mean, I've switched over a few already this summer that, they're 3 or 4 years old and they paid off the rest of the equipment and they don't really care for Vivint that much because when they went to pay it off, they didn't offer them anything or whatever else in the sun. Or it's broke once and they had to install that themselves.
So Zach, like, when you see a house like that, I think a lot of reps automatically assume that they're happy, content, and they're paying their bill.
Yeah.
How many of y'all have knocked the ADT door and like, oh yeah, no, we canceled that?
Yeah.
So many.
All the time.
So Vivint's the same. Like you knock a door, it might even be brand new equipment. Like, oh yeah, no, like we just put a non-stop in that. We canceled that. We don't have that anymore. It's like, oh,
Every time.
alright.
I'd say every time, but a lot of the time.
A lot of the time.
I mean, last summer in OKC when it was 110 degrees outside, knocked on dude's door, had this doorbell camera,
Yeah.
signed it up a year ago, and he paid it off and turned it off.
Yeah.
So I don't really like it. Man, it's alright, but like I ain't really like it. It still worked. I'm not. And I just showed up and he just liked me so much that he signed up with me and switched everything over. Literally, the system was a year old. Yeah, so it happens all the time. So those are good. Now you see the big blocky ones like this. That bad boy, that's a brand new one. They just started their contract, so still go talk to them 100%. Might get the same scenario, but those are pretty slick. I'm not gonna lie. I looked at a customer's the other day. Yeah, technology's going a long way. All right, so on to the next one.
Hey Zach,
Who has these guys? What?
hey, if let's say like the Vivint people, they have the white doorbell, they've already paid off all their equipment, but they're still paying the monthly monitoring. Are they still in a 5-year contract? How does that
Yes.
work? How would I buy them out of that?
So
Yeah.
there's a loophole. There's a loophole somewhere in it, and I have a friend that works for Vivint and will not confirm this, but he has not denied it either. And I've done it before. Don't quote me on it. Don't get your customers' hopes on it. But if they pay off the equipment, you can cancel it if they're really mean over the phone. And if they write them a letter and threaten to call the BBB and write bad reviews, you can get out.
Yeah.
But
As long as the equipment's done and dusted.
Yeah, as
you-
long as the
there's a little
equipment's-
wiggle room.
because they've already made their money and then you pay back the equipment. So.
Yeah.
A lot of the Vivint sales reps like, oh yeah, there's no contract, but it's a 5-year loan on the equipment. So
Yeah.
they go on the Better Business Bureau, hey, Vivint sucks, like my rep lied to me, you put it on Better Business Bureau, Vivint will email you back, hey, take it on your review, we'll let you have your contract.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a process, it's gonna be like a couple weeks to get it installed and stuff, so.
And just make sure they know that. So, this guy right here, this camera's been around a little while, and at one point, every company was using these. We were using these, Brinks was using them, Alert 360 still uses Alarm.com cameras, and a bunch of y'all don't have the pleasure of knowing how trash these cameras are. Terrible. Yeah, I hate it.
$200.
Yeah, 6 points. But I hated giving these to people back 4 or 5 years. I hated it because they're terrible. They missed everything. You can't hear anything half the time. They just look cheap. They look like a piece of plastic on the wall. So, but when you go to these people, you know that they've been around a little while. You know that they're probably out of contract. So when you talk to Brinks, and it's like, oh, stop back because I saw the old aged brake sign, and I saw this old Sky Bell. This is the part where you need to know other people's products because we had these products. And that's when you can bring up the objection like, oh, we think it's fine, it's fine. No, you're beating them to it. Yeah, I used to work with this. I know that they're not fun. Okay, so that's why we know that the Google stuff is super nice now. You're gonna love it. Just like all your other neighbors, just like our customers upgraded from that camera to our new camera. So you get with that. And then we do the next part. Is there any other people that y'all noticed? Or Simply Safe? Do we want to talk about Simply Safe? How we talk about Simply Safe people?
What's the way to system? That just be on?
That's the green stuff. They're based out of
Is it just the alarm
Tulsa.
system though, or your cameras?
No, they do alarm.com cameras.
Yeah, let's talk about Simply Safe.
They do, what panels they do? Most of them,
2 gigs or?
yeah, most of them do 2 gig panels, and the new ones are doing,
What is Central Security Group?
what is it called?
Central
The
Security.
one that like IQ, like
IQ panels. They do IQ panels.
And so what's the difference
Oh,
though? Like
So
between
that's
ours
on
and
that.
that?
Central Security, that's just another local.
Central
company.
Security was
Security got
bought by
bought
Alert
out by
360.
Okay.
So if there's a Central Security sign, done. That's old. It's not there anymore. 100%. Or Guardian. You see a green
It's like a
Guardian?
blue Brinks.
Yeah, green Guardian is definitely.
Yeah, you
Like
guys
360
and also like just something like who was shadowing me? I think it was Chase. Like I walked up to that house and I was like, those cameras are fake 100%. And like I knocked on his door and I was like, hey, I see you're security minded. You even got some fakies. He's like, yeah, man. And like we just chatted. And then like the other guy, I walked up, like knocked his door. It's like, hey, Atomic, that's a really cool alarm system. They're mainly for commercial. Do you know somebody or do you just like the sign? It's like, no, it's just a fake sign. And like I knew what I was talking, and then I got him a real ADT sign, a real system, and like just fake signs. So like if you kind of know like a little bit about like, there's no way those cameras have to have wiring to them. They're Lorex cameras. They're literally just plastic.
The most common fake one is that silvery gray one.
Mm-hmm.
You guys know the one where it's like it has like crappy Chinese looking font on the
They
side.
got a billion of them worth of bubble.
Yeah, the bubble.
The
light bulb.
Yeah, the bubble ones are crazy on the house. Trash. So yeah, product knowledge, not just in our product, but everyone else's product goes a long way, especially when we know that now, like a Vivint doorbell camera, they're further than the green one, like way further. So, I guess the next one's gonna be Simply Safe. That's the fun one. That's a fun one. So, what do we know about Simply Safe?
They're cheap.
Terrible.
Very cheap.
Horrible. Cheap.
You have to pay.
Straight out of China.
You gotta pay.
It's like having
up
money.
front.
If I see that I'm signing up next week, they lose an address, right? And they ask Simply Safe, they're like, hey, do we need our new address? And Simply Safe is like, no, of course not.
They're not encrypted.
So how would we switch over a Simply Safe? 'Cause
Well,
I
I'll tell you a
have one
funny
today.
story. Before we get into that, funny story, about a year ago, signed up a lady, when we talk about Simply Safe, how trash it is, how simply trash it is. I signed up a lady, she had a sign on the door that said, call me if you need something, called her, she came down, anyway, signed her up, and at the end of it, she was like, I've been really wanting to get this. She was like, I used to have Simply Safe, and I was like, oh, what, how did that go? Somebody broke into her house and stole the Simply Safe system of the house and took it with them. Okay, so the security system got stolen out of her house, and she loved how ADT system can't be stolen. Is that not like, what are we doing here? Okay, so it's cute to have Simply Safe in this right here. Mike's apartment would be a cute thing to have Simply Safe in. We're not going to be here very long. There's no contracts. But when it comes to your $300,000 home that you and your family, you don't want that. Okay, so a good, maybe y'all can help me out with this. Some of y'all have done a lot more Simply Safe than me, but it's going to be the same thing. I stopped by because I saw the Simply Safe sign.
Didn't she fail and she like paid it off?
Yeah, she failed credit. She was like, so you mean to tell me I got all this money and I can't have a security system? And I was like, well, like, you could just pay out the contract. She's like, well, how much is that? $22.16 or whatever it was back then. She was like, oh, I can do that. And we signed it up. But anyway, so at 9 o'clock at night, it was crazy.
They probably dropped $1,000 in a Simply Safe system anyway. They gotta pay it all up front.
Yeah,
So they paid all this money up
she was
front.
down
to
with
try
it.
to-
She was like, what does this mean now? I was like, you don't get a bill for 3 years.
I was like the custody that I was talking to, they were like, yeah, Simply Safe sucks. They didn't even ask for our new address. So how are they even
No.
supposed to know somebody?
They don't at all. Yeah, the thing is, when you talk to the Simply Safe guys, a lot of them are going to be Prius drivers. They're going to be people that are extremely cheap. They don't care about value. They don't care about any of the good stuff that comes along with having a good system in the house. They just care about cheap. But at the end of the day, those people still do have emotions, like we do.
Simply Safe's motion.
Emotions. Those people have emotions. So
Almost got it.
you have to sell those people an emotion, and you also have to beat them with logic, because they're also probably logical thinkers. They're like, oh well, why would I pay this when I could have did it myself? And it's cheaper for me to do this and no contract. They're logically thinking, but like emotionally, that shit's trash. Like it's like I can literally just walk into the house and just steal it. It's great. Like I have a customer who had their system stolen out of their house. Who does that? Okay, so
Who steals security?
who steals security system? They stole it. It's probably in an apartment somewhere.
There's like some weird stuff, like, so I did a Simply Safe swap, and half of the family was like partially deaf, like they had hearing impairment problems. and Simply Safe Hub is so quiet. Like when the alarm goes off, if it was just in this room, you'd struggle to hear it, kind of like just down the hallway. And so the kids would know when they were setting it off, and so they wanted the light modules that flash. So we did like 3 light modules around their house, so when the alarm went off, they would flash and they would know. And the panel was 122 decibels, so it was loud. And there's cool little things just that our system is like, it's a legitimate alarm. It's not a DIY kind of like toy. It's like, this is an alarm system. You know?
It's cool, or the way, the nuance to it, and the way to be able to talk to those people so that they hear you, is to praise them on their ability to think proactively to get an alarm system.
Yeah.
It's not to walk up and be like, you made a shitty decision. Like, that's not what we want to do. It's, you walk up and be like, look, I'm working with people that are security minded like you. And I'm glad you got it. It's insane. Why did you get it? Oh yeah, and they tell you all these cool things. You're like, oh, so you're a research guy. Most of them are research-based buyers. That's why they got this. But what you talk to them is after they get done hyping themselves up, you get done stroking their little egos on how cool their crappy system is. You go, well, yeah, I know that you found out that when you did your research, I'm sure you knew about it, I'm sure you heard all about it, like you can just have walkie-talkies to walk up and disarm the system, and like nothing's encrypted, so you can straight up just pull the panel off the wall and take it with you if you wanted. That happened to a customer of mine, that's why she liked our system. And then you're like, they're like, well, yeah, and you're like, yeah, and then everything's cheap and there's no warranties and stuff like that. I'm sure you know all of that. But what's pretty cool about Simply Safe is that it has its part in the market.
Yeah.
Like it has a place in the security market.
Yeah.
But it's made and designed for people that move a lot, stay in hotels all the time, people that stay in apartments for short terms. It's not for people like you that care about things. And then they're like, oh yeah, I do care about things. And you're like, yeah, you want to make good investments, right? And they're like, yes. A good investment would be having something that's the next step. Okay, so it's like having a Cash App bank app card. It's a bank account, but it's not a bank.
Yeah.
So the next step would go to a federal credit union. Now you're with a real bank. You know what I mean? Now you can get good loans. Now you can get low interest credit cards. Now you can get this. Now you can get that. Versus just signing up with Cash App and there's not a real physical bank, but like my money's in there. It's the same principle, right? So they started something, but it's just like, okay, cool. Look, I'm just going to show you how to make it to the next level and get a real security system that's American, that's been around 157 years, and that has warranties. So if anything breaks, you don't have to do it yourself. We'll fix it.
Where are the call centers for Simply Safe?